Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be checking out the CHEERSON CX10-D Altitude Hold Nano Quadcopter. Now this one's cool because it's a nano and it also has an altitude hold mode where it will maintain its height and you don't have to keep pressing up and down the throttle to make it hover in a specific height. So I've been noticing a bunch of nanos and micro quads like this are now having the altitude hold function. And so we're going to be putting that through the test. This one also does auto takeoff and auto landing just by a press of a button. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing this guy. We're going to be unboxing it right now. We're going to be doing a quick little inspection and setup. Then we're going to go ahead and take this to the park, do a little bit of flying and see how it performs in the park with maybe a little bit of wind. And then come on back to the house and do kind of an indoor flight and see how it is in a no wind environment and give it a few pros and cons after the fact. Now this guy, if you aren't interested in this guy, don't forget to check down in the description of the video down there and you can see where the link is to pick this guy up and see the pricing on it and see all the specs for this guy. But let's go ahead and get started with the unboxing. Okay, so as far as the box, basically this side of the box is just going through some of the functions of the controller. Back of the box just says smart channel there. This side of the box is showing us some of the features it has, which is that altitude hold and the flip functions and stuff. This one also does flips. So sliding this top cover off and we're greeted with this kind of splatter paint look here. The quad itself you can see has a splatter paint job, so that's kind of neat, kind of different. And the back of this also shows a different color there. But I have this really colorful version. Okay, so pulling the quad out, it's on this little separate piece of cardboard there. And then that's everything in the box, basically. Wow, so the controller is also kind of a tie-dye splatter paint on this version. Very colorful and shiny. Kind of neat. And then we have our charger here that's also in there. A little piece of foam, and it looks like that piece of foam is holding in 4 extra propellers. So that's cool. We get a whole new set of propellers just in case. Here's the manual. This will be the charger. Basically, you're going to plug this part into the quad. It has a fixed internal battery, so you'll plug that into the quad, and then this will go into like a cell phone charger or computer to charge that thing up. And that's kind of interesting. I haven't seen a quad locked in like this before. It's just got this little silver elastic band with 2 metal bars here that kind of keeps it held into the top. So that's kind of a neat, maybe save that for some other use in the hobby. And then the quad just pops off of this silver cardboard, silver painted cardboard. And here it is. So it's saying on the top, Smart Height Hold on the very top. And we can see this gloss and this kind of digitized splatter paint graphic on top. And it basically just looks exactly like a CHEERSON, like a CX10 or a CX10 Wi-Fi camera quad. This is the version that doesn't have any cameras and doesn't have any Wi-Fi FPV or anything. It's just a plain Jane flying quad with that altitude hold. And then we have our on-off switch here. I'm just going to click it on real quick. And we can see the lights. So there on the back we have red lights and on the front we have blue lights. Definitely going to want to charge this up before we really run it anymore. And we can see on the back here, that's where you can plug in the charger right here. So what I am noticing is maybe a little bit of a design change with this new quad here. It looks like we've got these little foam pads in the bottom. So they're like little foam feet just stuck into the landing gear here for a little bit softer, smoother landing. And the arms look just slightly different, a slightly new design with like a few different edges and stuff on the arms. The CX10 was really smooth all the way across. This one has a little bit of a lip here, kind of like the camera version has. You can see the antenna there laid in there across the battery on the bottom. That's going to be our antenna for our signal. And speaking of signal, here's the controller. So it's just it just looks like a basic CX10 controller. Same kind of buttons, same kind of control sticks, on and off power button. The only thing I'm seeing here is that there's no top trigger buttons here. There's like a little indentation for them, but this is just smooth, and there's nothing clickable up here on top. So let's go ahead and give a quick little look at the manual here and see what the controls are all about. Okay, so the main feature of this one is going to be its altitude hold. And what's going to happen is you can turn it on, and then you're going to press this, which looks like the throttle trim. And this is going to be kind of like your one-touch takeoff and your one-touch landing. So I'm assuming what's going to happen is you're going to power everything on, bind it, and just click that once, and it will automatically take off and hover there. And when you're ready to land, you just click down on that, and it will automatically land. So this little one here, if it's moving to the right or left, just click the opposite direction on here, and that should kind of trim it out a little bit. And it looks like that's the only trimming you're getting. And then the left stick, as usual, we can see that the left stick is spring-loaded, and that is a sign of an altitude hold quadcopter. What happens is you let go, it springs back into the center, and that tells the craft that you're going to go into altitude mode, and it will just hover there. Of course, you can still use it as for descending and ascending. So throttle here on the left, and then you have your yaw left and right. And on the right stick, you're going to have your pitch and your roll for going forward, back, left, and right like that. Clicking this guy in will give you your rate modes. So it should have 2 rates. That's slow and fast flight. And all that's doing is when you do push your pitch and roll stick here, it's either going to have a higher or lower pitch, so you can go faster or slower. So we click this in, and we should be hearing a tone, and we'll be ready to flip. And then in any direction we push this stick, it should flip in that direction. Let's go ahead and power this thing on real fast, put some batteries in here, and go ahead and power it up, and then go ahead and charge the battery before we actually do our flying. But I just want to see how this thing kind of looks on the bench real quick. So let's pop some batteries in here. Okay, so this is definitely a vibrant change from a lot of the other quadcopters. I'm kind of liking these colors. It's really flashy and a neat change. So 2 AAA batteries. There's no screw or anything you got to take out. This thing clips in nice and tight, so you don't have to worry about the batteries falling out. So I'm going to power up the quad first. I'm seeing some blinking red lights there. And going to go ahead and power on the controller. We hear a beep. And I'm seeing the red light flashing a little bit slower. You can see that on my finger there. And then we're just going to go up, down. And now the light on the controller is now solid, and also the light on the arm is solid, so this should be ready to go. And so what we'll notice is when we push up and down, there's no throttle. That's because the altitude quadcopters don't let you usually launch without some kind of sequence to arm. So if you wanted to manual arming, both sticks to the bottom left and right. And so we can see how that arms it right away, and it's just spinning there. Disarm. Both sticks again to the bottom left and right, and we can see how it disarmed. So I don't have much space here, but I just want to kind of launch it, seeing if it'll launch with this arrow here on the controller. So I'm just going to push up on it. Yep, there it goes. Whoa. So I just kind of crashed into the fan, but it did work. It went ahead and armed itself when I pressed this top button here, and it went ahead and launched about 4 feet off the ground. So that's definitely going to be working. I hope you enjoyed the unboxing. Let's go ahead and take this CX10-D altitude hold little quadcopter out to the park, see how it flies in a park environment, and then bring it back to the house, get a house flight, and do some pros and cons on it, and see how it did. Hey guys, so we're here at the park with the new CHEERSON CX10-D altitude hold little Nano quadcopter. And it's a little bit windy today, unfortunately, not the ideal weather to test this in the park, but I'm here at the park testing a few other drones, so I thought I might just test this before I take it in the house and do the house test. So we got about 10 mile per hour winds coming from that direction, 5 to 10, maybe 15 sometimes. And let's just see how it does in some wind and take it back to the house and do some house flight. So this should be cool. This one does have the altitude hold. As you can see, this is a pretty radical paint job. Kind of like it. It's like a splatter paint job. Kind of neat. Anyway, let's fire this up See how it does. So turn it on, then up and down. Now we're ready to go. Now this thing will not launch until you actually push the up button here on the throttle trim. So you can see how it, whoa, it went ahead and auto launched. Now I want to go into rate 2 right away. Rate 3 actually. So pushing in the left thumbstick got us into rate 3. So that's much better for the win, but this yaw rate is crazy. Look how fast this yaw rate is. So that will throw you off even if you're trying to fight the wind. So that was a little weird. So it just kind of died on me there. Not sure what happened. The lights are still on. Maybe I got kind of thrown off in the wind there. Let's just go ahead and power down and power back up. Try again. Up, down, bound, pressing up to launch. We went to rate 2. I'm holding full stick up, and you can see how slow it's climbing. Very slow. I'm just going to kind of leave it, not touch the throttle, and see how it kind of maintains its height. Now keep in mind this does have a lot of wind today, so it's going to be influenced by the wind, but it's overall holding its altitude pretty well. For like a beginner flyer that can't really adjust, you know, all the functions while trying to hold altitude, seems to be doing pretty good. That's kind of weird though. When I do tilt it back, watch how it's going to gain some altitude. See how it does that? I don't know, maybe a little glitchy. Maybe the altitude sensor is getting influenced by light. I don't know. When I do pull back, it does seem to mess with the altitude. I'll try that again so you can see it. I'll just be here letting it do its altitude hold, and then I'll pull back. You see how it goes high as I pull back? I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, let's get a little close-up view. Not going to be touching the throttle, and I'm just going to walk around here. You can kind of see how it's holding its altitude there. Dropped a couple feet there, now it's coming back up. Overall, not bad. Let's go ahead and okay, whoa, so so there was a little flip, and it just shut off the motors when it flipped. Interesting. So I don't know if the sunlight's being influenced. You know, we'll try this inside though, in the house, and we'll just make sure that the sunlight's not influencing the barometer. I've heard that that could happen. Go ahead and launch again. Still in rate 2. Whoa, let's get up here. Let's try a flip again. I want to see if that does that again. So not touching the altitude, and I want to flip. I'm going to do a roll to the left. So pressing in the right thumbstick. Nope. Okay, a little con there. That's unfortunate. I thought I did a quick little house flight on this, and it did fine in the house. So I'm thinking maybe the sun or the wind is influencing that barometer. Anyway, let's try to fly it around without doing any flips. Launch again. I want to see what happens when we land it. I'm just going to let it hover here, and then I want to push the down arrow on the throttle trim. Yeah, so it's going into a landing. Okay, so that's how you can land it if you wanted to do like an auto landing. That's kind of neat. Launch again. So it looks like it just lifts up maybe about 2 feet or so. So full throttle up is a little slow. Full throttle down, also slow. That's full throttle down dropping. Very, very slow. Good for a beginner. Now this one doesn't have any cameras on it. Let's go ahead and do a range test before I lose battery power. I'm just holding the controller like this. Maybe out about 70 feet now. I'm rocking back and forth. Wow, that's not bad. 100 feet. come back because I don't want to go any further than that. I was like 150 feet with no altitude drop. With no control drop, and I couldn't even see it. I just saw a little shadow, little black speck. It seemed like it did very well. And I think that's all the features this thing has. It doesn't have any, I don't think it has any headless or return to home or anything. The right trim on the pitch and roll stick is just for the rolling left and right trim. So that's not going to do anything. It looks like it's kind of getting higher on its own. And like I said, testing that in the house in a low light situation will determine if this is being influenced by the sunlight and the wind. I'll do a thorough test on this in the house. And this is what this is mainly for, is a house, little mini house flyer or office flyer. So bringing it in a park like this isn't ideal, like I was saying before, but good test nonetheless. Let's go ahead and do some fast flying, see how fast we can fly. I don't really want to come with the wind too fast because I've had bad experiences before coming with the wind, it going super quick, and then it just crashes in the grass over there. But that's full stick forward in rate 2. Kind of slow fighting the wind, but whoa, see how when we get going towards the wind, man, it gets going fast. Full stick forward, rate 2. Let's go into rate 3. I'm full throttle down, just trying to bring it down. Whoa. Okay, so that's the problem with this outside flying and in rate 3. When you yaw it, it spins so quick, and whatever's happening is cutting off the motors. So that's why I'm staying in rate 2. So it looks like the lights aren't blinking yet. Wow, this thing's got more flight time than the XKX100. That's great. Launch again. Check that out. It looked like maybe there was some grass in one of these propellers. Oh, okay. The propeller got a little bent when it fell. I'll bend that back up. Okay, looks like they're all level. Let's just keep flying until it runs out of power. See what happens. Looks like we might be getting there. It's really sluggish going up. Still not seeing any blinking lights though. That's amazing. So I'm full. The wind's really coming up now. We're like 15 to 20. Come on now. Oh, I'm just holding it full forward, and I think the wind's gonna take it away. Trying to come back. Come on. Okay. I better it hit the fence. Let me go get it. The wind was just too much for it, and I think it's getting weak on battery power. Okay, so I did a retrieval from over by the fence there. I think it was just too much wind, and the wind kind of kicks up on that little ridge there, and the wind starts blasting right there. So I just got caught in that wind, and I think the battery's just about dead. So I just want to keep it close by. In rate 2, just want to keep it close by and see what happens. There we go. So now I'm seeing some flashing on the LEDs. And let's see what it does. So it's getting really hard to control. I didn't have any more pitch there. It just started doing its own thing. So keep that in mind on this one. Really not good for any kind of wind, so park flying might not be the best. But let's get back in the house where it should be flown and see how it does. Hey guys, so we're in the house with the little CX10-D altitude hold quadcopter, and we had the park flight. Now let's do some indoor flight in a no wind scenario and see how it does in the house. I think this is probably where this thing is going to shine, so let's see how it does here in the house. So we're turning on, then we're going up, down. And if you did want to level the accelerometer, I forget if I mentioned this on the bench in our initial unbox and inspection and setup, but you just make sure you're on a perfectly level surface. Hold both sticks to the bottom right. You're going to see some flashing, and then you just kind of want to wait till it goes back on solid. So it's back on solid, level the accelerometer, and it's ready to go. So this one again, just pressing up on the throttle trim will automatically take off. So it gives itself a little boost there, and now it's going to go into its altitude hold. And as we can see, this thing is super stable in a no-wind situation. I really haven't touched at all the pitch and roll. So it's starting to drop a little bit. It's getting some variation. I kind of have a feeling that this one is sensitive to light. In the park, you could see that there was some problems with it flipping and just falling out of the sky, and I think that had to be attributed to the sunlight. So let's see. So this is rate 1 here. So I'm just going to do some testing here, and let's see. So picking it up, it's kind of going up and down a little bit, but not too bad. So let's go ahead and see what rate 1 is for the pitch and the roll. So here's the pitch, forward and backwards, and the roll, left and right. That's full left and right roll. Let's go ahead and go to rate 2, which is the left thumbstick pushing in, and you're hearing 2 beeps. And we're getting a little bit more pitch and roll, so it'll fly a little bit faster. And I'm not really touching the altitude at all. I'm kind of doing this all without touching the throttle. And it's maintaining pretty good. It's altitude, really good for people learning how to just the basic flight. Now I'm going to go into rate 3. Actually, before I go into the rate 3, I want to see what the yaw's like. It looks like it's a little crooked when it's yawing. It wants to wander a bit. You can see that. It's not really doing a pirouette in perfect position. But that's rate 1. Rate 2 might be a little bit faster. Maybe the same, actually. The thing where this one shines at its increased yaw rate is in rate 3, and this is where it'll just spin like a top. So you can see that it's kind of got a wobble, and you want to be careful with this one because it's really fast, so it's hard to fly unless you're really easy on the yaw. You see how I can still in rate 3, I can go really slow, or I can go super fast like that. So let's see what the pitch and roll is in rate 3. So that's full forward, full back. So a lot faster. So this is where you can do your fast flying. Cool. So let's see what the lift is like in the house. I'm going to go back into rate 2 because rate 3 is a little bit scary with that yaw so fast. So rate 2, full throttle up. So it kind of does a little punch, and then it levels out and will only go a certain speed. So we can see it if we're lower, do a full punch, and that's the maximum speed going up, and then coming down, full throttle down, that's the maximum speed coming down. Let's go ahead and get a close-up shot of this guy while we have it here. I'm just going to go about eye level. Yeah, so I'm seeing like 3 feet of fluctuation. The funny thing is I flew this at night and it didn't have this fluctuation here, so I think it is definitely got to be influenced by light for some reason. Anyway, let's do some flips. So we're going to do pushing the right stick, pushing to the right, flips nicely, it lifts some altitude, and then it comes down right where it left off. So really good and easy flipper. So far really satisfied in the house with this one. Looks like it's going to be a fun flyer in the house. This will just give you an idea. Let me trim it. It looks like it's going to the right a little bit, so I'm just going to trim it to the left just a little. Overall, very stable. It's got just a little bit of a wander, but not too bad. And you can see that fluctuation in altitude, but it's overall holding it, you know, within a couple feet of where you leave it off. So really good for, like I said, for beginner flyers. And let's go ahead and see the land feature on this one, how to land it. You can either, let's see, if we pull the stick all the way down, we can land it that way. Or let me retake off again by pressing this up button. Or if we want to land also, we can just kind of hover over our point and then press down on the trim. Let's press down on the trim. Let me go a little bit higher, see what happens. If I go way high like this, press down on the trim, and you can still control it while it's coming down. Looks like it kind of tilted to the left a little bit, faced left for some reason, but no big deal. Launching again. It's so neat how they're incorporating this altitude hold and auto launching features into these little minis. Cool stuff. Anyway, just gonna fly around until the battery dies. Do a little bit of in the house sport flying here, and just zip around a little bit. I'm not even gonna attempt it in rate. There's our low light. Don't want to attempt it in rate 3 because I'm just gonna crash everywhere. So there's our low blinking lights. And I'm just gonna, okay, there it goes. So it's doing an auto landing. I can still steer it with the pitch and roll stick, but there we go. So it auto landed safely on the table. And the cool thing about this one, it does have these foam feet, so it's not gonna like bounce around on hard plastic. So a little pros and cons on this guy. I would have to say that very pleased with indoor flight. Outdoor flight, I really would not take this thing outdoors unless you're just doing basic flying in maybe rate 2, because for me, when I took it outside and tried to do flips and stuff and any kind of radical flying in rate 3, I had some fall out of the sky problems outside. Inside, no problem, especially when it's dark at night. It seems like that's the best time to fly this thing. I think it does have some kind of sensitivity towards light. So anyway, that's everything else on this is very solid, very stable flyer. The altitude hold works very well for, you know, a cheap little nano quad like this. Perfect thing to kind of learn on, get used to flying before you move up. Don't forget, I will have this guy down in the description, so you can go down below the video and click on the link to check the specs on this and the current pricing and see what this one's all about. Alright, anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.